Ganesh Gopalan, the CEO and co-founder of Nani AI. Let me also welcome
All right. Thank you for your patience with a little bit of logistics there. Great to have all of you on the panel together. All right, let's dive right in. There's just so much talk about where we're at in the AI journey, what's coming our way. We've got, ChatGPT and Sam making all kinds of statements. We're talking about India being the next big market and taking over really a lot of the demand. Where are we placed in the midst of all this to really tap into this huge opportunity? Let me start with you, Ganesh.
Well, I think India has always been placed well in the software world, and AI is going to be no different. As a country, and a lot in the media, we tend to be obsessed also with LLMs and all the big things that we hear in the market. The huge opportunity in the industry is going to go beyond LLMs, going to go beyond, I would say, what's more interesting to talk about. It's going to be about solving problems in industry, in government, for India, for the world. And I have absolutely no doubt that India, or rather Indian companies, are going to be on the forefront. Key reason is here's where the talent is, and you can't compete with talent.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a moment, but let me first get an opening comment from Mr. Sahu as well.
Yeah, thank you, Abha. How many of us use some form of AI in our lives? Quick show of hands. So we are pretty well placed. Almost everyone in that case. India attracted close to about $1.5 billion of investment last year or so on AI. So that way, I think from both external as well as internal perspectives, we are reasonably well placed. I think the pace of growth can definitely improve for us to get there faster. You look at any kind of revolutions or waves that have happened so far. Take the computer science, the computer revolution, take the digital revolution, cloud. India has always been a cradle of talent. Even in AI today, we are a huge supplier of talent to the world. I think the time has come for us to be our own huge consumer of talent. Right? The more we consume AI, the more we create AI and create those companies which can be those marquee lighthouse AI companies in the world, then I think India will be very well placed. We are getting there. A good collaboration amongst the academia, private-public partnership, and startup ecosystem, they all come together and they improve the pace at which we are investing in creating AI for our own, for consuming it. I think we should get there soon.
All right. Subbu, let me talk to you about how this impacts enterprises, because there's a level of risk also involved. How are enterprises gearing up in terms of implementing AI, understanding how it can both benefit them as well as where they need to perhaps mitigate their risks?
Absolutely. I mean, today when we talk about AI, while we speak a lot about the opportunities, obviously there's a lot of risk about AI. And the risk comes from both the sides. There is an outside risk and there is also an inside risk. Like, for example, when we did a survey, we found out that 74% of the organizations had already faced an AI-generated attack. And out of which, only 15% of them were confident of handling those attacks. So that's the outside risk part. The inside risk is that, something that not a lot of them discuss that outside today. Let me take an example. Like over a weekend, I was just doing something and then I was going through a particular technology, reading through it, and then one of our partner technologies. And I just thought I'll give a call to the product manager who I know. So I gave the product manager a call and asked them, hey, I was just going through your technology. I saw that it has something like this, but I don't find any documentation. Can you give me some more information about it? And there was like a stunned silence. And then he said, it is there in my plans, but I haven't published that in roadmap yet. How is it that being an outsider, you already know about it? And that's because an engineer in his team had already deployed an AI engine which had access to what they were doing and was already publicizing something that has not even been published internally. That's the inside risk. So when we speak about risk, it's both outside and inside. And organizations really need to be geared up to face both. So that's where, to the outside risk, you can't throw people at the problem anymore. You're not going to be able to, stop or mitigate those risks by throwing more people. You will have to use AI to mitigate that AI risk. When it comes to internal, that's a much bigger discussion to be had, because you're not going to shut the door on AI today. People are going to use AI, whether you like it or not. People have access to those engines like he has. Look at the number of hands that went up. Everybody's going to use AI. The prudent thing to do is to regulate the use of AI rather than stop people from using AI. So the adoption has to increase, but at the same time, it has to be regulated.
So lots of interesting opening points. Mr. Singh, thanks for joining in as well. Let me bring you into the conversation in terms of how India is positioned in the AI innovation landscape, and also how we are capability building at this point in order to keep up with the rapid change as well as competition.
As was being mentioned, people will use AI. And why will they use AI? For the same reason for which I and you use. We use it for doing things easily, for making us more efficient, for being able to do more. If I have to analyze a 600-page document in less time, I can use a Gen AI tool to summarize it, get the high points, and be able to do my things better. So agentic AI assistants are becoming part of our lives. And if they are making us efficient, they can do the same thing for people in various domains. So whether there's a farmer who can get information, timely information with regard to what he should do, a small businessman who can do inventory management, who can do stock, who can do price prediction, who can do modeling with regard to his business. So almost every domain, or whether it's manufacturing for quality checks, for ensuring that we are able to price our product in the right domain. So it will have value in all domains. So given that the way the industry is growing and adopting and across the world, we do believe that given our talent and given the engineering workforce that we have, India has a big role to play. And Indian startups can take advantage of the emerging businesses that are coming up. To do this, when the government looked into it, we tried to see what is it that's stopping us from matching up to where China is or the United States is. So we did realize that there were certain gaps in our AI story, which included lack of compute infrastructure, lack of sufficient data sets, funding opportunities for startups. So the AI mission was conceptualized to address these gaps. So like today, we have made available 34,000 GPUs at a very low cost of less than $1 per GPU per hour, so that all researchers or academicians or businesses or startups who are building AI applications can access compute at a low cost. We are building AI Coach, the datasets platform, which will make datasets from all domains, from public sector, from private sector, made available in an AI usable form for training models or building applications. Similarly, we are providing tools for anonymization, privacy preservation. We are hosting models on AI Coach, which can help people use it as a sandbox or a playground for building AI applications. Funding for startups, skilling initiative. So all of it is being taken up under the AI mission. And we do hope that with the policy support from the Government of India and the participation of the private sector, we will be able to catch up with the best in the world.
All right, Ganesh, let me bring you in on that and build on some of the points that Mr. Singh made, because there are gaps in the story. And do you feel with the adequate support from policymakers as well as private sector participation, it can be filled?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thanks to the India AI mission and Abhishek Singh and his entire fantastic team. For example, we were one of the selected winners of companies who are going to build some of the foundational models. So what we are building is something called a voice-to-voice LLM, right? We were already recognized by NVIDIA and some of the other companies, one of the most unique companies to build this for. So what we needed, so we had the architecture in place. So we had, we had the talent, which already built some of the, other IPs in the AI space. So what we lacked was compute, and compute at the cost that companies in, say, China and various other parts of the world were getting. And I think the government has stepped in the right manner to say that, this is going to be the fundamental or one of the key problems that companies are going to face. And, let's try to solve that. And, we are looking forward to using this compute, right, and to develop the best systems possible from a fundamental product perspective, to build not only for AI, for India, but also for the rest of the world. So I think it's an amazing thing that we have started. The fact, what I like about this whole piece is that we have identified the key pain point, and that is the biggest pain point is compute today.
Saurabh, would you like to come in on that as well in terms of the pain points, as well as let's bring up the whole aspect of having ethical AI, and this is also a huge debate. Is there a way to manage that as well?
No, absolutely. I mean, again, thanks to Abhishek and the Indian government, and the Indian AI mission, India AI mission entire policy and structure has been very articulately drafted, very well conceptualized. Compute was the base layer of infra that was required, which I think Ganesh very clearly alluded to say how it is being set up very well, because that's a framework on which the entire AI consumption will take place. I think a couple of points before I come to the ethical AI point. I mean, it'll be a little bit of a traverse to say no, we don't need ethical AI. So obviously the answer will be yes, we will need it, and I think the time has come. But having said that, I think first is that can we create a truly global Indian AI company? Right. So I think we have been asking that question for manufacturing companies, for consumer companies in the past. But can we truly create a a globally relevant giant of an AI company from India? What does it take? Right. I think all the ingredients are now in place. It's just important to get the right set of ingredients in the right combination to put it together to create that. The government, I think, is taking a lot of steps in that space. The private sector has to also step up and then to move towards that. Secondly, is AI is one of those unique technologies where I think the technology is moving faster than the skills. Right? So I always keep giving this example when James Cameron wanted to do Avatar. He had the concept and the story and everything, and he waited 10 years for the technology to match up, to actually create all of that vision in place. Unlike today, where I think the technology is moving faster, so the ability to create the right set of skills which can be therefore used for consumption of AI will be again very critical. So can we make AI as ingrained as a part of our education policy, our curriculum that we follow in the schools from at the primary level, so that you essentially have digital AI natives being born, and then that's what happened with computer science. I mean, it became mainstream, and therefore that's how the next revolution happened. Coming to ethical AI, I think simply put, any technology needs to be governed well, in the right framework. It should not be constraining. It should essentially be moderating enough so that we use it for the right applications. I think again with that, I sit on a panel with the Department of Telecom, which has also taken up this initiative to look at responsible AI for India as a country, and framing the right set of policies as well as guardrails to create it. At the end of the day, it boils down to if you're doing the right use cases in the right constraints and place, and I think the ethical AI will take care of itself.
Okay. So building on that as well, with Gen AI, you've got content, crime, all kinds of things that it can sort of churn out, it can create code. How do we manage some of the issues around security? So.
Yeah, I mean, while we speak about ethical AI and responsible AI, there is also another part of AI, which is we call it as general adversarial networks, the GANs, right? The GANs have no boundaries. They have no guardrails. So anybody can use the GANs to create malicious codes. It can be used for crimes. Today, if you look at most of the phishing, emails are AI generated. In fact, to the extent that they can learn how a person communicates from their social interaction and mirror that. So it would be very difficult for a user to say a phishing email apart from what a normal email from that person would look like. So that's what when I talk about AI generated threat, that's what I talk about. Right? It's going to be very difficult for a normal user to differentiate between the two. And that's where, once again, you can't just throw people at that problem. You can't, just think of cybersecurity as a guardrail. You can't just think of cybersecurity as, a parapet wall around your organization. You can't even think of it as just a competitive advantage today. You'll have to think of it as a culture. Cybersecurity has to be engraved at every step of the way, to the extent that nobody should be able to say that it was not my job. I'm just a developer, or I'm just a guy in finance. Cybersecurity is not my responsibility. Cybersecurity has to be everybody's responsibility. It has to be engraved into the culture. One is having the awareness amongst the people, and the second is using the AI again. It's using AI to secure the AI attacks again, and that once again comes with its own risk, and that's something that I would say organizations have to consciously take a call. Whenever you invest on something, you will have to consciously understand that risk before you invest.
So what are some of the real world cases, Mr. Singh, where we've seen AI being implemented across areas like governance, agriculture, education, also perhaps to create a more inclusive impact, have, for the greater good? Are there such instances that you can share with us? Because I know we're all using ChatGPT to make our work easier, but are there deeper examples as well?
There are many. And in fact, if you look at one fundamental use of artificial intelligence, Gen AI is one part of it. For example, natural language processing, which is allowing us to build a tool called Bhashini, which I believe some of you would be using. It allows speech-to-speech, text-to-text, and speech-to-text translation seamlessly. And what it does is that it makes application, information and services available in all Indian languages. And very often, if you look at our digital story, we are very proud to say 90 crores, 900 million people in India are connected. But when we say that, we also are saying that 500 million people are not connected. What will it take to connect these 500 million people to the digital economy? It will require services in all languages, and more importantly, it will require voice-enabled services. Imagine a farmer, if he has to find the price of a particular commodity in the local market. One option is that he can go to the enam.gov.in or download the enam app or navigate the CAPTCHA therein and then search for masoor ki dal Agra mandi mein kitni chal rahi hai. How many farmers will actually be able to do that? So instead of that, imagine he just goes, just like you talk to the Alexas in the series, says masoor ki dal ki Agra mandi mein kya qeemat hai? And if he gets the reply back in his mother tongue, that will be very powerful. So we tried that out with the speech to text and the Gen AI APIs. It works. Then we also said that if it's like voice input and voice output, then it can work even on a feature phone on a toll-free number wherein somebody can just call a number and get this information back. So what we are trying to build with the company that we have selected for our LLMs is to build up a voice LLM, which will truly empower people at the last mile. A poor woman living in a tribal area or somebody, if she wants to find a solution for diarrhea, for example, India, still people die of diarrhea. We don't have a counter like COVID-19 had, but it's a real problem. So if people don't know how, and they don't have access to a specialist doctor, can she call up a toll-free number and say that mere bacche ko ye problem hai, kya karu? And if she gets that advice back, it can be lifesaver. So what we foresee is that there will be many use cases of this kind. Many are already in place at pilot stage. There are AI applications which can help diagnose tuberculosis. Like for example, looking at the X-ray machines, and the solution I have found is better than many usual, the average radiologist, the outcome of the average radiologist, this AI solution is better than that. So we have hospitals across the country which have got X-ray machines but don't have qualified radiologists. Can we deploy these tools there? Similarly, there are AI applications with which you can diagnose breast cancer. AI applications with which you can predict floods, with which you can predict extreme climate events, with which you can build personalized language plans for students. It can become like a tutor which can be patient with the student and keep on answering even stupid questions. Teachers in the school get bugged, and most public schools in India, the best schools, they teach with when they believe that the front row students are the brightest 5 kids, say yes ma'am, they go forward. But the average kid may have questions which they will not answer, or they will think they'll shut them down. But there are AI tutors on which the average child can keep on asking questions and learning. So that kind of learning today possible with AI. So in almost all domain for children with learning disabilities, like dyslexic kids, they need sometimes tools with which they can read text in a larger font. So there are multiple AI applications in healthcare, in agriculture, in climate change, in governance, in education, which can really, really benefit students.
All right, some great examples there. Small and medium enterprises, taking from something he said as well, how do we ensure that AI can really benefit their growth? Because a lot of these plans, are talking about consumers or large companies. What about the SMEs?
See, I think, firstly, I think the biggest game changer for SMEs is going to be AI, right? Look at it this way, what are the options that are available if you're an SME, right? You have an enterprise software or you have a SaaS software. Sometimes both these things are too much to solve their particular problem. Sometimes all that they need is an AI agent which is going to solve their specific need and which they can pay for on a usage basis. So the world is moving towards an agentic model, and in an agentic model, the SMEs are going to be definitely benefited in a big way. And for example, we have agentic models where we have a platform called India. And what we do as part of this platform is that you don't need to consume an entire piece of software. For example, if there's an SME his biggest problem is like, say getting new customers, he can just use this particular agent of the available library and only pay for usage. So it's no longer paying for subscription, it's no longer paying for entire software. Just when he uses that software, he has to pay for it. So this is going to be a real game changer for SMEs.
Closing comments, Saurabh.
I think, I keep saying this always, I think AI stands for artificial intelligence. AI also stands for Atmanirbhar India, in a way, right? I also extended to say Accenture India, but we will take it some other day. But having said that, I think as a nation, we are at the cusp of essentially saying, can we use AI to be the no longer an emerging economy and to be one of those established Viksit economies in the world. In the current geopolitical scenario, we do understand that economic power is important. And having said that, therefore, can we really use AI to truly be Atmanirbhar? I think that is where we are at, and hence the results for that.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Round of applause, please, for our guests. Thank you.
Mr. Siddharth Basu Chatterjee to please come up on stage to present a token of appreciation to all our guests, please.